Mary. You can really like capture people's attention there. You can really draw them in just with that simple act of a little crescendo and diminuendo. So don't forget to do that. Don't forget to shape these phrases. Remember, in the Renaissance, bar lines did not exist. So the emphasis is on the text and showing that. Okay. All right, so moving on here. Now we want to make sure that when we, I think we're gonna readjust our camera here a little bit. So one moment, please. Oh, that's great. Oh, that's great. Thank you. Let's give Audra a round of applause because she is an amazing. She has done a great job with all this. I just want to say that and thank her for all her great help in putting all this together. She is doing an awesome job, and we're so lucky to have her. I'm so lucky. I'm so blessed to have her. Oh my Lord. Okay. All right. So talking about the word stresses and such. With that said, also we need to be really be careful with the releases. The cleaner we can sing these releases, like for example, in the second measure, there's a quarter rest written on beat 4. Making sure that that release is right off there will make a humongous, make a really big difference. It'll really help the production side of things, because if the releases are kind of raggedy, then it just ends up being a lot more work in production to clean things up. And the easier, the cleaner we can give it to Brian, it just makes things so much easier. And then he's able to concentrate on other things to perfect things, other details. So for example, just off on that rest, 1, 2, 3, off. Just off on that rest, okay? No hangover, no kind of, carrying it over a little bit. Just make sure it's right off on that. So, Ave Maria, off. Okay. Now, looking at a few other places here. So, the word grazia, you can slightly kind of lightly roll that a little bit. Grazie, make sure you roll it on the pitch and don't do this. Don't accent it. Grazie, just very, very lightly roll into that just a little bit. And let me tell you, if you can't roll it, just flip the R, okay? Just flip the R. And if you're having trouble with that, you can just leave it off, okay? But what you don't want to do is go gratias, you want to just flip it or slightly roll it, okay? And then plena, and not plena. Be careful not to pronounce it as plena. It's pronounced plena. Okay, plena. And then the next one is the most difficult because it has the O in it. So be careful. This is dominus, and not dominus. If you feel yourself singing too much of a pure O, like O, domin, then that's incorrect. All right, you need to open it a bit more. Dominus, and not dominus. Notice how the do tends to lack some focus. Dominus, but dominus, dawn. Okay, like the word dawn. Dominus, do. If you practice that all day long, you'll hear the difference, okay? So that's a real important thing. Now, measure 6, you have tecum. Be careful, it's not tecum, but cum. It's an U vowel, like an owl. Tecum. Not tecum, but tecum. And it's not a very aspirated T, so it's not te. It's just teku, teku. That's just enough. Now, going on, let's see here. When you get to the next section, measure 9, 10, 11, 12. Sopranos, keep that really beautiful sopranos and don't let that kind of flare out. You can have a little crescendo through that, a little slight crescendo, but don't let the phrase kind of finish, kind of going, uncontrollably loud. Keep it nice and tall. Okay. Same thing in measure 12. Keep the vowels really open in the mouth. A lot of space in those vowels. Don't let your bottom jaw come up and kind of pinch your mouth. Versus really sound really tall. Pretend like you have a steel rod coming from your heel all the way up to the top of your head, just keeping those vowels really lifted and tall up there, okay? Okay, so then going onward, in measure 17 and measure 18, you have that same phrase. It's repeated with a little variation, but notice that measure 17 sopranos is different from measure 12. It's similar, but it's different because of that dotted rhythm. It's really easy to trip off of that, or trip over, excuse me, on that dotted rhythm. So make sure that's really clean because that'll make it so much easier on production. Just real clean and all of that. Basses in 17. Okay. Now everyone in measure 18, you have the word Jesus. The beginning of that starts with a Y sound. Yeah. So get to that vowel quickly. So it's not yeah, and it's not G. It's yeah. So you have three, two, yeah, two, yeah. Okay, yeah, zoo. And it's with the middle S in the word is kind of a Z sound. It's slightly Z. It's not a true Z. It's kind of like a lazy Z. Jesus, but not Jesu. That's too much Z. That's not really characteristic. Jesus. And then the final S is a regular S. So the first S in the word is kind of a lazy Z. The second S is truly an S. So make sure that you have that. Jesus. Let's just sing that together in your octave. Jesus. Okay. And then you want to make that S at the end really short, crisp, because then you have to come right back in. Jesus. Santa. Okay. And remember the Santa Maria is different here. It's not Santa, it's Santa. More in the back of the throat. Your tongue should go to the top of the roof of the mouth. First, song. Think of the word, English word, let's see, I think song. Yeah, think of the word song. Song, how the tongue goes up at the back. That's the sound that you want there. Okay, ora, not ora, not o, and not ora, but ora, oh, and then flip the R, ora. So you have Santa Maria, ora, and not ora. Whatever you do, do not put a diphthong in there. There is no diphthongs, and there are no diphthongs in Latin. So not ora. That is the one sure way to let everyone know if you're from Texas. Ora, that's a good giveaway. So no ora, ora, Okay, AW. Now in this next section, you have to be really careful because you need to make sure you're following the word stress. If you're not following the word stress and you're just plodding through it, that is not good. What you don't want to do not, whatever you do not fall into what's known as QNPS. Now, what the heck is QNPS? Well, it's what I call quarter note plodding syndrome. Don't plod the quarter notes where it becomes Santa Maria. Have you ever, maybe in church, sometimes you've sung a hymn before, and there's a lot of quarter notes in a hymn, right? And everything kind of ends up being the same. Right? And we lose sense of the text. When in doubt, think about the text, and that informs everything you do. The text and the word stress here will help prevent this plotting syndrome, which a lot of choirs sing this beautiful piece and they plod through it because they're thinking bar lines and they're not thinking word stresses. So follow the word stress. It's so much more fun, right? Look at measure 23. You have Santa Maria. Ora pro nobis, Santa Maria, ora pro nobis. That is a lot more interesting than the reverse, which I'm not going to torture you with, okay? So, but just follow the word stress, and all the word stresses have been underlined. And this particular section, this page from 23 onward, the word stress gives it a beautiful rise and fall. Listen to it played starting in 23. Notice the music it breathes so much better, okay? This music was just guided. I mean, you could tell. I mean, it's almost like, the piano is a wonderful instrument, but sometimes it gets in the way in a a cappella piece like this, right? It gets in the way because it covers up the beauty of the voice. And back in that period, there were no pianos to cover up the beauty of the voice. Sometimes pipe organs would play along with choirs to double, but even the pipe organ is so much more beautiful than a piano because the piano is very percussive. The pipe organ has air. It's very breathy, right? It's very much like the human voice. So it's just interesting, right? Just to think about all these different things. But the word stress, the breath, the ebb and the flow is so important. It's so important in this particular style of music. So you don't want to be accused of QNPS. Not good. Okay. So moving onward here. Some of my reminders. Okay, look at the last couple measures. Look at the last two measures on Amen. Okay, so here on the Amen, you'll notice in my score that I've written in the numbers in the last measure. I've written in 1, 2, 3, 4. So you're going to follow the click track for those beats. You're going to hear those beats on the click track. And then in the very next measure, which does not exist on the score, but I've written in a number 1 and I've written in the N, right there is where you're going to place that final consonant. Now, we can get everyone to put that N right on that same spot for one beat, then I know the Lord in heaven is going to be smiling down on all of you and all of us. And I know Brian will be just delighted because that'll be one less thing that he has to worry about. But it's really simple. So let's try it together. We're going to practice it, okay? Let's sing let's do the last two measures starting on Amen. You just pick, you can just sing whatever notes. Well, how about I'll give you your notes. Here we go. Tenor spaces. Okay. So we're gonna sing this. 1, 2, ready, and Amen. All right. All right, that sounded great. Let's do it again, okay? We're gonna do one more time. Okay, 1, 2, big breath, low breath. Okay, so you notice how right before that in, I started to gradually close a little bit into it, and you can do that as well. Like right before you close to the end, or excuse me, right before you go to the end on that last imaginary measure, you can just start closing into it. All right, let's do one more time, and don't forget the crescendo on that second to last measure. Okay, 1, 2, low breath, ready. How'd you do? Thumbs up if you think you did well. Okay. All right, great. Okay, so that's how that works, okay? And there's a little bit more of a retard there, so you'll notice it slows down just a little bit. So just follow the ticks, okay? Just follow the ticks, the little click track, and then you'll be fine on that part, okay? All right. Cool. Now, a few other things on that final measure where you have the amen. When you have that amen, what I don't want you to do in this particular piece is to do a shadow release of the N. We don't want amen. No, we don't want that. There is a time and a place to have a shadow release. This is neither the time or the place to have a shadow release. What you're going to do is you'll close to that N, let it ring for a second, or specifically a beat, one beat, and then cut off. And not man. No. Please don't do that. Please. Thank you. Okay. All right. I think I've covered all of my notes here.
Hi.
Yeah.
Just to clarify, what beat should the decrescendo start at the end there on measure 30?
And measure 30. Well, I think that since it was a little bit of a retard, I would crescendo beats 1 and 2. So crescendo beats 1, 2, 3, and then on 4 start your diminuendo. Or maybe 3 in the end of 3, something like that. End of 3. Rough, okay? If you follow the model singers, do exactly what the model singers are doing, which I believe is they're crescendoing to beat 3, and then on the end of 3, starting a diminuendo. The more important thing to remember when you're doing a crescendo and a diminuendo, the most important thing, okay, so there's 2 important things now. I'm thinking more about it. Don't change the vowel. So don't let the vowel change shape. Okay, don't let that happen. It's still ah. Number 2, you want the crescendo and the diminuendo to be very smooth. Don't let the diminuendo feel like the carpet is being pulled out underneath you. So this is a bad diminuendo. Where did he go? Okay, here's a better diminuendo. I'll try. Okay, try to make that diminuendo as as smooth and gradual as possible without there being a falling off the cliff kind of feel. Okay. Um, okay, so that's that. It's a good question. Thank you for that. That was a very good question. Um, okay. Last comment has to do with the vocal tone. When you sing this particular piece, Renaissance music, clear, transparent tone. It should be a tone, a vocal tone that is not heavy. It should be a vocal tone that does not sound like you're singing the Verdi Requiem or an opera by Wagner. Okay, it should not sound like that. This needs to have a much kind of more a clearer tone. It needs to have a very transparent quality to it. Simple tone, not heavy, and not a lot of vibrato. It needs to be more centered. If we really want to do this style justice, which I know we can, and be aware of, we want to approach it with a lot less vibrato, with minimal vibrato, with minimal. Now, there are times where you will feel maybe a little extra vibrato in the sound, especially maybe in a louder dynamic. Maybe if there's a forte dynamic, you'll feel a little bit more kind of the sound opening up. It's kind of spreading out a little bit, or some of the mezzo fortes. But as a general rule, in all, in terms of from start to finish, this piece should have minimal vibrato. And it's pretty easy to do at this pitch range because it doesn't go very high. The tessitura is not very high. There's just only one place where it goes to an F for the sopranos, one or two passages. But for the most part, everything is on the staff and easy to sing. It's very comfortable to do with less vibrato. So experiment with that. There's going to be some vibrato in the voice, and that's fine. But what we don't want is for the sound for the vibrato to obscure the transparent quality of these beautiful chords. So we don't want, okay, now I'm overdoing it, but you notice how you lose all sense of the reverence of the music, even the text, everything is kind of lost, okay? So just, challenge yourself to be a little bit more minimal with that, and it'll improve our blend, and it'll help us to get a little closer, to inch a little closer to how it might have been performed back in the Renaissance period, okay? So just keep that in mind throughout. Okay, I think we have covered a lot of details here on this particular piece. This is a beautiful piece. I hope that you've enjoyed learning it and singing it. And when you go online, go to YouTube and try to find some other recordings of it and just listen to it. There's a lot of different recordings. Some of them are really good, and some of them are not as good. To be honest with you, I feel like they're just not in tune with the style as much, maybe. But listen to that so you can kind of get an idea of where you want to be when you perform this, when you sing this, okay? I know you guys will do a really great job in it. It's going to be really beautiful, and it'll show our ability to really perform this style of music and do it in a very beautiful, serene, and reverent manner. I want us to be able to bring out the reverence of this text, whether we're a believer or not. I want us to know that this particular piece is very reverent, it's very devotional and personal. And so when you sing it, it has to have that deep a personal approach to it, the passion of the text has to really come out, the reverence. It's a very sublime piece. And so I want to try to bring out all those serene qualities. And I hope that if we do all of these things, I think we'll make a really great effort towards that. And I think it's going to sound really fantastic. So I'm really excited to hear all of this together. So thank you so much for doing this and for being part of it. And yeah.
Are you done?
Is that my cue to
I don't know. I
wrap it
saw
up?
you cheered, and I wasn't sure if you were waiting for me or not.
Well, I'll be honest with you. This is so much fun because it is so great to see everyone again. And even though we can't be together 100%, it's so great to see your faces and just talk about music again. Gosh, I've missed it. I really have just tremendously missed this talking about music and all this. This is what we long to sing in these choirs and make music, right? I mean, it's part of our DNA, right? I mean, it's just in our blood, and to now have a little opportunity to do this again just feels so great. So I mean, we could probably go for another hour and a half if that'd be okay. Or no? Okay. I guess we'll have to stop there. Okay. But thank you so much, guys.
Yeah, I have some announcements, and so I'm sure if you're done, I can
Yeah.
kind of go through those.
Yeah, I'm done. Then I'll turn it over to you. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.
Much.
Thank you. Okay, so I have a couple of announcements, but I'll start with the one in the chat about attire. I think I mentioned it at some point, but to reiterate, some sort of solid color is good because it's less distracting. And I know in video, like Dale has mentioned that like warmer colors work, but I would say just some sort of solid color that's like appropriate, right? I mean, I shouldn't have to tell y'all. Just like covers your shoulders, like something modest, men modest, but yes, and you do not have to wear the same thing for every virtual choir recording, so feel free to change it up. You could create a theme, for yourself, whatever makes it exciting. Yes, as Dale mentions, pastels or earth tones, no tight patterns if possible. Okay, so I know some people have been trying to figure out how to record and how to do things, and I don't know about y'all, but I record on my phone, right? So like I might listen to it and maybe even look at the score on my laptop, but then I'm recording on my phone, and then I have to somehow get the recording into, I have to rename it, and then I have to get it into the link. So I thought I would briefly show you guys how to do that. And now I'm using an iPhone, but so we'll just have to make do if you don't have an iPhone. Hopefully you can kind of finagle around. But I'm going to show you, and if I get text messages, my teacher team squad has been like firing away today. So there is my phone. And so let's pretend that I have, I'm going to use one of these Kevin videos that I already have. So pretend this is me singing, and I'm going to, oh, y'all can't tell. It's actually showing his thing. That's weird. I don't want it to do that. So at the bottom of my screen, there's like a share. Why isn't it showing y'all? That's weird. Okay. And I'm going to share to my file, save to file. So on an iPhone, you have like a save to files function. I really wish it would show you and not show this video.
You can see Kevin.
I know you can see it, but you can't see what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So I wish there was a way for me to do that, but it's like making it special here. So, okay, so I'm just gonna, I have to talk through it unless I can show you in like, maybe it's better if I don't share and I'll just show you like this. Okay, so I know it's not the best. So there's Kevin's video. There's a glare. I'm gonna hit this little button and it's gonna pop up like my options. And I know it's glary and I'm so sorry. So there is a thing down here that says save to files. Okay, so I'm gonna click that. When I do that, this is an important step. At the very top, sorry guys, I know this is like the worst way to share. At the very top, next to his little picture is my image name. If I double click it, it allows me to rename it. So if you're on an iPhone or an iPad, that would probably work. So if I go into it, I can actually say like Kevin Klotz tenor. And then I can type that in there. It'll change my title and I can hit done. Now it's saved in my phone, which is really great. So let me go back to this and let me show you how to get to the place where you can upload it. So now I'm going to go to the Choral Society page, not to the Thai food place. And I'm here on the main page. Now, when you're on your phone, it's really hard to see these three little lines on the right there. They're like light gray next to select your page. So just touch the screen somewhere. And if I click that, it does a drop-down menu. And if you scroll to the bottom, because on your phone, it shrinks the website, right? And so we go to chorus member login. Now I should already be logged in because I've saved it on my phone. But if not, you'll enter the password Hugh Choral 19 and it'll pop up with the member dashboard. Scroll down and then right here it'll say access our virtual projects. You'll click there and you'll get to our main page. Now, because you don't have the menu bar at the top, you have the three lines here and you can go to virtual project and you can go to uploading your file. And just a few reminders, you want to do landscape. So right now my shared screen is in portrait, so you want to record in landscape. And you'll just go to uploading your file. We're only doing one file. So those of you who were here last week heard me say, like, no separate audio and separate video. There was someone who emailed me about that, and you can be the exception. So somebody emailed me about that, so you know who you are. And I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to find my voice part. So in this case, I'm emailing Kevin, so he's a tenor, even though he was playing piano. And then I'm going to hit the plus, and then I'm going to hit browse. Now, you could just search in your photo library, but then it won't have named the file, right? So if I go to browse, I find it in here, and you'll look like right over here on the right. There's my insurance card too, guys. I'm going to hit Kevin Klotz tenor. It'll have popped it up, and then I'm just going to click upload. I got to remember to delete this after I do this. And it's uploading. It says 1 minute left, and then I'm done. Okay. If you just want to be careful, I think sometimes when you email files, it compresses them. Say if it's on your phone and you email it to your computer to send it, sometimes it'll compress the files. I'm not an expert on that, but I know that can happen. So if you can do it from your phone and it's an original form, all the better. But I just wanted to kind of walk you through that. I know I don't have an Android, so I'm sorry I can't show you that, but I just wanted you to be able to see that process. Does anybody have any questions about that or about something else they've maybe encountered when they've been trying? I know some people have been playing with it.
Hey, Audra, this is Amy.
Yes.
I thought that you guys said you wanted an audio file and a video file.
Yep. Last Monday during rehearsal, I announced at each of the sectionals that we were no longer doing that.
Oh, okay. Just the video.
Yes, because because basically we were using another gentleman for our second and third projects, and he required us to have 2 files, and we are no longer using him. And so thankfully we don't have to complicate our lives, and we can just do 1.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, you're welcome. And it's not necessarily, it's kind of important to rename the file, because if Brian asks me, are all the files in? Are we ready? If I can skim it and go against the alto list, then it's easier for me to tell. It's not the end of the world if you can't figure out how to rename it. It's just a little trickier, right? But if it's between you submitting your file and not submitting your file, just submit it, right? Like if you can't figure out how to rename it, then just submit it because we want your file. But if you can figure out how to rename it, that's even better, okay? But it's not the end of the world, because we know who's participating. Yeah, there's a few people who have signed up to record with Dale. And so you'll just show up, make sure to read the list. Those of you who've signed up, read the list of things that you need to bring and be prepared on Wednesday and Thursday when you go. And Dale will be uploading and dealing with your files himself, so you don't need to worry about it. Those of you that are coming on Wednesday, Thursday, and I think one Friday during the day. So thank you to Dale for doing that. It's really, really nice for you to take that time. Any other questions from anyone? So technically starting tonight, like you could record. A few reminders, try to be in a place that doesn't have much echo. We want to, as sort of a clean, flat audio, is not flat like pitch wise, but less reverb as possible. Try not to, don't have a fan in the background. Because it'll, like, sometimes it's the video, if they have to play with your video file at all, the fan could speed up or slow down or do funny things and it could be distracting. Definitely try to do the landscape there. Don't judge yourself too harshly, like Kevin said. There is no rehearsal next Monday. You will get the files next Monday for the next piece. And it's kind of great because the next piece, and Kevin will talk about it next time we meet, but it's very different than the Ave Maria, which is, the Ave Maria is beautiful and early music piece just lovely. But this next piece has this like amazing, beautiful melody. So if you've looked it up, because the title is on our website, if you've looked it up, it just has this amazing, beautiful melody to it, and beautiful harmonies. So just wanted to let you know to look forward to that as well. Okay, any other questions? No, well, thank you again to our model singers. I know Kevin announced it a while back, and so we're very thankful for them. And I guess that is it. If anybody has any particular questions and they'd like to stay on, you're more than welcome to.